I'm gonna do this again because I felt like it wasn't that good the first time. Okay, so let's talk about dopamine. Dopamine, it's a neurotransmitter in your brain, chemical neurotransmitter that it's what allows you to feel pleasure, and your brain produces this or releases it as you're feeling pleasure. So as you're doing activities that give you pleasure, or as you're pursuing the pleasure. So let's have an example of an activity that gives most people pleasure, or people my age, which is watching TikTok. So let's say you have a specific genre of or type of videos that give you more amounts of pleasure than others. So your dopamine is gonna hit when you find one of those videos, and it's gonna be hitting while you're looking for one of those videos. So while you're scrolling, you're gonna be waiting to hit that next rush of dopamine as you're looking for that next type of video that's gonna entice you. So to recap, dopamine is released during pleasure and during the pursuit to pleasure, during the journey to pleasure. So, and then the next thing I want to talk about is the pain and pleasure balance. And we both know what pain and pleasure are, I don't need to explain it. So basically what it says, the pain and pleasure balance, is that the amount of pleasure you feel is directly related to the amount of pain you feel, and that without pain you cannot feel pleasure, and you cannot feel pleasure without ending up having to feel some sort of pain. So on a graph I can explain this, and this is connected to dopamine. So if I screen record on my iPad right now, I'll be able to show you guys a graph of how this works. So alright, so here we have notes on my iPad. So let's think of dopamine. Let's think of it like 1 dopamine, 2 dopamine, 3 dopamine. So let's say your brain has or your body has created 100 dopamine, or no, 1,000 dopamine for the next 10 hours of your day. So 1,000 dopamine divided by 10 hours is going to equal to 100 pieces of dopamine. Pieces, I say pieces, that's not how it actually works, but this is a way of like making it simpler. 100 pieces of dopamine, I forgot to write, per day, right? So your body has planned to give you 100 pieces of dopamine per day. So now if we draw a graph, if we represent that on a graph, let's draw a graph, simple graph. You see it in math, physics, biology. I even see it in English sometimes, don't ask me how. So let's say time of day, or like time, and then level or amount of dopamine, level of dopamine. So there's something such as the baseline. So your body, so the baseline here is gonna be 10 pieces of dopamine for the next 10 hours of your day. All right. So now let's talk about pleasure. So when you indulge in a pleasureful activity, or like anything that you find pleasure in, obviously you're gonna be receiving more than 100. So let's say you receive, so during that time you're doing the pleasureful activity, you're gonna be going up. You're gonna reach a peak, and then at some point it's gonna have to go back down, right? So now the thing here is, when it goes back down, you'd think that it goes back down to the baseline, but actually it does not. It goes a little bit lower than your baseline. All right, and then you're gonna run the rest of your day at a lower baseline of dopamine. And the explanation to this is, for that hour of pleasure, your body was giving you more than 100. Let's say it gave you 200 for that hour of pleasure. So now, through simple maths, for the next 9 hours, you're gonna have 800 dopamine for the next 9 hours. So 800 divided by 9, I don't know how to do math, so we're gonna go to the calculator. You're gonna be getting 88.88 pieces of dopamine per hour. So as you see, it's clearly lower. So as a summary, when you choose to experience pleasure, once that pleasure has been experienced and is gone, you're gonna drop back down to a lower baseline of dopamine. So from 100 pieces of dopamine per hour to 88. So as you can see, it's a decrease. It might not seem significant here, but that's only because we used numbers, and this is not how it really works in the body. but the main idea is that you're gonna be running on a lower baseline of dopamine, and therefore your day is gonna feel less pleasureful. And now let's move on to pain. So let's draw a graph for pain. So once again, time, dopamine level. So once again, you're on 10 per hour for the next 10 hours. 100 per hour for the next 10 hours. So now let's say you willingly choose to experience some pain. A painful activity of mine is studying. I hate that shit. So let's say I study for the first hour of my day, of the first hour of those 10 hours. I'm not going to be receiving that as much dopamine. So let's say it's going to go down, and then once I'm done, it's going to have to go back up. And similarly, now it's going to go back up, but not to the same baseline. It's going to be higher. Okay? And there's an explanation to this. Because for the first hour of the day, I experienced a lower amount of dopamine. So let's say I experienced sort of 100, which was what my body originally planned. I received 50. So now I have 950 for the next 9 hours. So once again, using a calculator, 950 divided by 9, 105.5 pieces per hour, right? So as you see, my body had originally planned 100 per hour, but now I'm going to be receiving 105. So by purposely choosing to experience some pain, I've increased the amount of pleasure that I can feel throughout the rest of my day. So this is what I meant by the pleasure-pain balance. Through choosing to experience some pain, you increase the amount of pleasure you feel. And by choosing to indulge in activities that give you instant pleasure, instant gratification, you lower the amount of pleasure that you're going to be feeling for the rest of the day. And that's why it's important to hold this pain and pleasure balance and think about it when choosing what activities you want to indulge in. And one quote that connects with this is, you either experience the pain of discipline or you experience the pain of regret. The pain of discipline being the pain of choosing to do a painful activity, the pain of choosing to study for the first hour. You're going to experience that pain, but then after that hour, you're going to feel much more pleasure. You're going to feel happier throughout your day. Or you could either feel that pain of studying for that hour, or you could feel the pain of not choosing to study for the first hour, or not choosing to do something that gives you pain at that moment, but then helps you make you happier for the rest of the day. You choose pleasure for the first hour. For the rest of the day, you're gonna have to experience the pain of regretting. You're gonna realize that you're not as happy for the rest of the day because your body is running on a lower baseline of dopamine, and therefore you're gonna feel the pain of regret. You're gonna be, I wish I didn't indulge in that activity, and now I just feel shit for the whole day. And yeah, so that's a quote that really puts this all together. And yeah, that's honestly all I understand about dopamine right now. And even this little amount has helped me, even though it's not even a fraction of everything that there is to this. It's a whole neuroscience topic. There's chemicals and brain and hypothalamus, and I don't even know, but this is what I know, and this is what I want to share because I feel like it is helpful. So the summary of the video is, you need to learn how to balance out the pain and pleasure in your life. The more you choose to experience some forms of pain, the more pleasure you're gonna experience later on in your days or lives. And the more instant pleasure you choose to feel, the more pain you're gonna feel later on. So yeah, thank you for listening. I hope it wasn't too boring. I hope it made sense. Keep Rubiksing. I wanted to show you guys, this is what I was working with. So yeah, the phone was right here, and yeah, my Rubik's Cube, my water, the calculator, the notes, the tables, and more importantly, my amazing DIY, what was it called? I don't know, the thing that holds up your phone. Then this is some light my sister gave me. Yeah, this is the PC, this is, yeah, whatever.